Hi everybody, I'm Mike Garska with SuccessToolChest.com and FindAMentor.com. Welcome to this week's Help Me Communicate, where I help you become a better communicator. Today, I'm going to talk about how to inspire and motivate your people from other cultures. But really, what I'm going to talk about is how to inspire and motivate your entire team. Because the reality is, it doesn't matter what culture or what background people have. You follow the same principles to inspire and motivate them to that higher bar, to that next level. Really, think of athletes, okay? A world-class athlete does his training and his preparation for that next match or that next race. And his competitors, no matter what country they come from, are preparing themselves in much the same way. They follow the same guidelines for preparing as a world-class athlete. The same thing applies to inspiring and motivating your people. No matter what country they come from, no matter what their background is, we follow the same principles to inspire and motivate people. All people work and communicate through a standard human interaction process. We sense, we think, we feel, we intend, and we act. And we all respond to positive and negative in similar ways. So today we're going to talk about inspiring and motivating all of your people. And first we'll talk about inspiring and motivating those from other cultures, because there's three things you need to do that I talked about last week if you're going to inspire and motivate people from another culture. Just like with anybody, the first thing to do is to establish a relationship of trust and respect. And to do that with people of other cultures, you do the three things that I shared with you last week, and those three things are simple. Number one, find a feeling of genuine acceptance and understanding for difference inside yourself. You can find acceptance for the differences that you have in comparison to other people. Find that acceptance for difference for everybody. That's the first step in communicating with people from other cultures. The second step is to ask more questions than sharing opinions. Show a genuine interest in other people. Ask about them. Ask about their hobbies, their interests, their family, their friends, the weather, anything. Ask about them. And in that, you can go to the next step, which is to find some common ground and find some common denominators in what you like. Look for those common denominators. And in that, when you follow that process, that three-step process of finding a feeling of acceptance for difference, of asking, being inquisitive, asking questions about the other person, and then looking for common denominators and common ground and exploring that, you develop a relationship of mutual respect and trust. And once you have that, then you can go to that next level of inspiring and motivating people on your team. And here's 5 steps to do that. Now, first, I've traveled to over 20 different countries. I've worked with people from every background that you can imagine, from many different countries, from all kinds of different backgrounds within my own country here in Canada. And I found that the same principles apply to motivating those people, all those people. Doesn't matter where they come from. I'm married to a woman that was born in Pakistan. She moved to Canada as a young woman and got educated here, but she has cultural differences. And when we talk about inspiring and motivating people, we agree 99.9% of the time on what to do to inspire and motivate someone. So the point is, it doesn't matter the culture. Follow these 5 steps to inspire and motivate, and I'm going to give them to you quickly as an overview here. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of detail of each, and then I'll recap. First, know the industry standard for achievement and productivity, and then set the higher bar. Now, once I was talking with a client of mine, actually, and he was concerned about getting one of his employees to that next level, to that higher bar. And I said, well, Ron, you've got to set the higher bar for him. He said, the bar's already up here. He's got to get there. How do we get him to that higher bar? And I gave him the 5-step formula. First, know the industry standard of achievement and set the bar high, so he'd already done that. Next, be realistic and transparent. Be honest with what the industry standards are. Be honest with what your goals are. Be honest with yourself and your team. Ask for feedback. Make sure the goals are realistic. And if you're honest and transparent, it will become very clear if the goals are not realistic, and then you got to reset them so that they're realistic. In this case, we knew the goal was realistic because we had tons of people hitting that bar. Give tons of positive accolades. When somebody tells you that you're doing a good job, that makes you want to do a good job. When somebody tells me that I've done a good job, I want to do more of that. And so give tons of positive accolades. So that was another thing that we did. The fourth one is correct mistakes with compassion, with constructive criticism, and follow up with tons of positive accolades. And when you're correcting the mistake, make sure you give a consequence for not correcting the mistake. So that's the fourth step. The fifth step is to create a good, healthy atmosphere of two-way communication with the person that you're wanting to get to that higher bar, and with your whole team for that matter. And we'll give you some tips on how to do that. When we did that, and we got the person give him good, healthy, constructive criticism, and give him tons of positive accolades, his bar raised, and he was able to achieve the goals that we set for him. Teams are constantly changing, and that's okay. And sometimes that consequence for not correcting the mistake has to be that person has to be fired, and you got to replace them with somebody that can gel with the team and work. And change is dynamic. That's the definition of dynamic, change. And teams do not happen. Good, healthy teams don't happen automatically. They have to be built, and they have to be built from within, and sometimes they need to be adjusted and built from without. So don't hesitate to change that team when you need to. So let's talk about these 5 steps to motivate and inspire people. First of all, we have to get in touch with ourselves. We have to be committed to get to that higher bar ourselves. We have to be methodical. We have to be flexible. And we have to be determined and perseverant and persistent. So the first step is to know that industry standard. Research it. What is the standard productivity for your industry? How many board feet a day do they lay? How many customer service calls an hour is the industry standard? How many sales a day is the industry standard? How many documents a day does this person edit? Or whatever your tasks are. What's the industry standard? Know what that is, and then raise it a little bit. And remember, if you don't raise that bar, if you just accept industry standard, you're accepting mediocrity. If you want to lead in your industry, and you want to achieve and succeed and get ahead, you have to raise the bar. The way that an Olympic athlete gets a new gold medal is by raising the bar first in his mind and then working towards achieving that bar. If things always grow, and if you don't set the bar higher, your competitor will, and they'll beat you. And so the best thing to do is to know the industry standards and then set that bar higher. And the second step is to be realistic and transparent. This will flow into step 5, where we talk about having good two-way communication with your team. Having said that, being realistic. When somebody gives you feedback that this goal is unachievable, acknowledge that and maybe set it a little bit higher to one that is achievable, but higher than what is current. Now, if you're dealing with the person and there's no way, that it's going to go higher, then how do we get the rest of the team to work to that level and talk with that person about that? But be transparent, be open, be honest, be direct, and be realistic. Tell your people what the standard is, and then tell them that we're going to get it here, and use the analysis of Olympic athletes setting new gold records, that if they don't set goals, they'll never get there. So we're setting goals as a team, and then inspire them to want to get there. Ask them, imagine what it would feel like if you were part of the top team in our industry. How would you feel would you like to get to that place and have that feeling that you're part of a member of the top team in the industry? And 99.9% of people will say yes. Get them in touch with that feeling that comes as a result of getting to that higher bar. And be transparent about the reality of where it's at, and transparent that it's a tough goal, and be realistic and tell them you're going to support them. Number 3 is give tons of positive accolades. When I tell you you've done a good job, you feel better, and you typically want to work harder. When somebody tells me that I've done a good job, I want to do more of the same. Tell your people every time that you see them doing something well or good or right, tell them and give them that pat on the back. And get your leadership team trained to give those positive accolades. When I'm working with construction superintendents are sitting in a job site trailer all day, and they have their foreman out there, and the foreman comes to them and says, "Hey, we got to correct Johnny. He's making mistakes. Can you help me with that?" He corrects Johnny, but he can't go out there and give Johnny all those positive accolades. He has to rely on his team members to do that. So make sure your entire leadership team is tuned into the fact that your objective as a leader is to make sure everybody on that team, all the way down right to the the bottom funnel there, is getting positive accolades, and make sure your team is on that page. Step 4, correct mistakes with compassion, honoring that everybody makes mistakes, with effective constructive criticism, and follow it up with tons of positive accolades, as well as having consequences if they don't correct themselves. And sometimes those consequences are moving them into a different position, and sometimes they're getting rid of them and replacing them. But be open, transparent, and honest about that. And correct the mistake. And look for opportunities to give them positive accolades when they've corrected that mistake. Now, in the 1990s, when I owned my cellular phone stores, we brought coaches in to help us deal with people issues. And what they talked to us about when providing constructive criticism, they gave us a formula. And they called it the sandwich method, the shit sandwich method. Make sure when you're correcting somebody, you tell them something positive, then you give them the correction, then tell them something positive again. So, for example, we'd say, "Hey, Johnny, you're one of our better employees. We really like having you around. But Johnny, you have a hard time getting here on time every day. And that brings the entire team down. And it sets a bad example. And it makes other people think that they can't be, they don't have to be here on time. And if we have everybody not being here on time, our business is not going to do well. So we need you to meet that bar of being here on time. Now, Johnny, you're one of our best customer service people. And we don't want to have to replace you, which is what we're going to have to do if you're not here on time every day, so that we can find somebody that can meet the standards that the company has set. So we want to not have to retrain somebody. We want to use your good customer service skills, but we need you to be here on time. What can you do to make sure that you're here on time? How can we support you in that? How can we support you to make sure that you get here on time? And continue being one of our better customer service people. That's how the shit sandwich method. Now, I've been networking with lots of different coaches and consultants over the years, and what we found since the turn of the century, now that's a 2-to-1 positive method, that 2-to-1 positive to negative method, that shit sandwich method. But what we found is that, in fact, to truly inspire and motivate people, what we need to do is actually use a 5 to 7-to-1 positive to negative ratio. So when we have to correct somebody that's made a mistake, the formula for getting them inspired to that next level is to use the shit sandwich, so 2-to-1, and then for the next couple, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, week, whatever it is, look for 5 other opportunities to give them a positive pat on the back. So the actual formula for effective constructive criticism is use the sandwich method, good criticism, more good stuff, and then look for 5 more opportunities over the next few days to give them positive accolades and pats on the back. And especially when they correct the mistake that we've constructively criticized them about, give them lots of pats on the back, and maybe even a little reward other than the pat on the back. Buy them a coffee, take them for lunch, do something like that to reward them. And when people get rewarded, they want to do more of the same. We're animals, and we respond to positive affirmation, just like a dog, just like a mouse, just like anything else. We're animals. So animals respond well to positive stuff. Give your people lots of positive accolades, and when you correct them, give them extra positive accolades. Really, 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 really important. The 5th step in this process of creating a dynamic team that has the bar set up here is to create an atmosphere of good 2-way communication. And this goes back to that transparency and realistic and being open and honest. Make sure that people at every level of the company have a process for giving feedback about challenges and about wins and about things that the company can do better or things that a coworker could do better. Make sure if it's talking about a coworker that it's always kept confidential and not spread around. You don't want to spread gossip, negative gossip, but you want to correct mistakes. So if somebody's pointing out a mistake that a coworker's doing, keep it confidential and deal with it one-on-one. Don't out the person in front of the entire group and embarrass them. By invoking embarrassment, you're actually demotivating somebody, and the chances of inspiring them to go to the next level reduce dramatically. So, but get that good two-way communication flowing to that leadership team, and then bring your leadership team in. It's a mastermind team for driving your company to that next level, to that higher bar. And you need a leadership team. When when I was talking to a construction superintendent who's in the office all the time, like I mentioned earlier, he needed to rely on his team after giving somebody constructive criticism to find those 5 times to give that person positive accolades. And because the superintendent's always in the trailer, he can't do it all the time. He's out for his, 2-3 site walks on site a day, and so if he notices, he can give the positives, but he needs to rely on his team. So make sure your team is used to give the positive accolades, to get the two-way communication flowing, that they're communicating with the team, finding out what the challenges are, what the wins are, bringing that back to the mastermind team that drives the whole company and all of the members. And you use the best formula is if you have a big enough group, a 4 or 5 person leadership team to drive initiatives. So when you set the bar high, you make sure that leadership team is aware of that bar and they're responsible for driving it down through that entire company. And they do that by lots of positive affirmation, by using the proper constructive criticism method of the sandwich and 5 extra positive accolades. And when they bring the challenges back to those meetings, and they ought to meet consistently and regularly as a leadership team, talking about the challenges of all the staff and discussing that information that came from that effective two-way communication flow, discussing the wins, adjusting policies and procedures to make sure everybody can get those same wins, discussing the challenges, adjusting the policies and procedures to avoid those challenges from happening a second time. And then using that team in those mastermind sessions, everybody takes an action item and they drive those action items until the next meeting. And all those action items have to involve the first 4 steps of being transparent and realistic, knowing the industry standards and setting the bar high, of giving positive accolades and healthy constructive criticism. So here's how you build an effective, super dynamic team to make sure that you shine. And follow these steps. Know the industry standard for achievement and productivity and set the bar higher. Be realistic and transparent. Be honest with what the standards are. Be honest with what the goals are. Share, ask about what would feel like to be at the top of industry, and share the plan of action for getting there. Get people to invoke their own determination, their own persistence, perseverance, patience, and all those positive things that go along with achieving that higher bar. Give tons of positive accolades and make sure it's getting spread throughout the entire work group with the leadership team. Correct mistakes with compassion, with effective constructive criticism, which is a sandwich method followed up by positive accolades, and share consequences for not improving in the constructive criticism. And the last thing is to create an effective atmosphere, a good, effective two-way communication, so that the information from every level of the company is coming back to that management team so they can make adjustments in policies, procedures, processes, etc., so that everybody gets on that at that new high bar that's set. Do these things, and that will take your team to the top, and you're guaranteed to get back all those positive accolades that you're sharing with your team. I hope today you got something from today, and I hope that you go out and build that stronger team to take you to the top as a leader. Go out and make it an awesome day. Don't forget to like our posts, like our page, check out successtoolchest.com. We post all our Help Me Communicate sessions at the vlog blog at successtoolchest.com. We offer a contact communications and masterminding program to help you communicate through crucial conversations. It's a 4-hour online program. We offer workshops and seminars. Check it all out. It's all at successtoolchest.com. Be a mentor at findamentor.com, our other website where we encourage people to pay it forward by being a mentor. Mentoring is free. Coaching is done for a fee, is the way we look at it. Please like all our posts, all our pages. Check them out. Go out and make it an awesome day. Pass this on to somebody who you think might benefit from it. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.